We're talking about Nvidia. If you're not prepared for what's coming this week, you will be left behind. We're going to go over what market makers have priced in, why this earnings might really make or break things, and why you need to know everything I know. Anyway, right now the YouTube preview says it's not showing anything. Hopefully it starts to show something because we're rocking and rolling. Let me hear if you get. Let me know in the YouTube chat real quick if you guys can see the screen because right now it's just black for me. And I don't want to repeat myself a million times. But look at that dollar selling off. It went from YouTube live for a minute to like 11 seconds. So hopefully you guys caught the beginning. Is SPY going to break all-time highs? I mean, that's going to be that's like a 15-minute candle. SPY's almost there. Let's jump in. As far as the open goes, the dollar, we had a little bit of a gap down, a little baby gap. But I'm hoping the dollar finally got below that weekly zone, and that's what I was nervous about. And technically, we've hit this little speed bump zone right here and bounced right back up. Friday, we nailed it. What we don't need is a bounce like this out of this yellow zone. The dollar ultimately horizontal. And I will say I did watch the dollar sell off and Bitcoin have a little bit of a push up. So I'm intrigued. I'm there. Remember, if institutions start getting in Bitcoin, I'm about that life. I'm going to buy a whole lot more. Remember the last time I talked about this and I was this excited about Bitcoin, it was 16,000 and I got made fun of for buying it at the peaks. That's what they told me and then it just ran to 70. So shout out to everybody that was there at Bitcoin when it hit 16,000. Appreciate you guys' advice. Just kidding. I appreciate you guys funding my account because it's usually traders like you. Sorry, I didn't mean to start off this negative. Anyway, US dollar, Japanese yen. Right now, we're entering a monthly zone, but we based out for a little bit, and we're finally breaking that to the downside. Was that a 4-hour candle? 4-hour candle. We did just get above it. We're starting to crack this thing below. I left this range up just to kind of see if it was going to be a problem later. It kind of was a support. Don't worry, McLovin. We are going to go over Nvidia. That is the star of the show. But anyway, I am so short this, and I want it to be, ultimately I want to be a million short this. Right now it is just 800,000 units. It's just 8 lots. A million does sound cool, but it's kind of my OCD just driving it. But anyway, if you're not following, I want to be on this thing. I get rid of the U.S. dollar. Let's just make the yen the world dominant currency. Why not? Yen bounced at this zone, but breaking through right now. Get your meltdown on. I want to see nuclear reactions. I want to see melting down. Just know that I only stand to gain a whole lot more if it does happen that way. In fact, I'm going to add on right now. Give me one hot second. All right. Just kidding. I'm 8.5 lots in this thing now. I just added on at 143821. McLovin to the kids Starbucks Lollipop Fund with the donation. They do like those cake pops. No, they really do. Kelsey says, what website am I using? This is TradingView. All right, so as far as Bitcoin goes, now when the dollar sold off, Bitcoin ended up just being a little bit of a wick. Now, the dollar sold off, Bitcoin pumped up. It ended up being a wick and came right back down. And it kind of pushed up. Now, Bitcoin is pushing up. Gold, now Bitcoin's pushing up a lot more than gold. But Bitcoin kind of usually does well on the weekends, historically. So let's see what Monday brings. But right now, eyes are laser focused. There's been nothing to talk about with Bitcoin for I don't know how long now because we were just talking about bullish above this blue zone, bearish below this yellow, just sideways, finally getting above it. I do think Bitcoin is going to push up to this next yellow zone, so let's worry about this thing at 67K and then start knocking the doors down, you know? Let's get on it. As far as the S&P, so far red open. Right now we are rejecting this little blue zone. This is probably a yellow zone. If you guys don't know the difference, blue is hourly kind of speed bump zone, right? Like we can base out. I expect some turbulence here. We might reject. We might just kind of dance around and then continue. But we just here at all-time highs, that close to all-time highs. We don't have a lot of data. We've tested this thing once, you know. So that's why all these three zones are blue. But right now, we hit this zone and had an absolute meltdown. Market threw a fit. Shout out to everybody that was in puts with me because I was in puts back here. Got toasted off, make no mistake. But these puts made up for it. And also Nvidia puts. Finally. I thought I was losing my mind, by the way. Anyway, rejected here. Let's see if we keep this trend alive and keep going. We're on an hourly chart right now. So this is going into Friday. We had that push. So just zone to zone on Friday. And so right now, if that's all we do is pull back and hang out, we don't actually break this. The trend is still up. We'll probably knock this thing out, and then we will be at all-time highs. Up 115 on MicroStrategy calls after Powell. MicroStrategy, I don't want to deviate. I did just break that down for TikTok as well. It did just get above that zone. We are going to talk about that. Don't let me forget. Let's do the Nasdaq real quick. So Nasdaq selling off right back into a zone. This is a type 2. So right now, if I were to go long NQ futures, I would go long right here and a stop right below this wick right here. Yeah, I would just be buying the dip. Kind of nothing really else to talk about. The Russell. We talked about being a dip buy right here. Talked about buying the zone again right here. And if you did that, boom, smashed it. Absolutely killed it. Right now, I probably wouldn't be buying it. I would just be trailing. Anybody that did buy the Russell futures, I would have my stop right below these wicks right here, and then just hanging out. I want to see if financials led that or not. Why am I'm losing my mind. What is energy? It's not XOM. I know XOM is ExxonMobil. I picked the wrong one. What is the energy fund? XLE. Thank you. I had the X and the E right. Sorry, guys. Just remember there's over 6,000 tickers out there, and I only have like 5,500 of them memorized. But I want to see what was the driver of the Russell right there. Let's do the expected moves real quick, and then we will jump into Nvidia earnings. So last week we drew out these expected moves. These are these white lines right. This is 1 standard deviation. This is 2. Got to watch out for that in case we start to break it. We didn't. We hit that, sold it right back off. And on Thursday, I specifically said we will probably close at this line. Fireworks are done, or they're not, and we melt this thing down to 1 standard deviation at the bottom. Who was ready for that? Anyway, panned out just like we talked about. But let's get these, oh, shoot, hang on. Let's get that up. All right, here's our expected moves for the week. I do have them already done. That's probably how my chat knows if I'm paying attention when I post these in the chat. They're probably like, oh, okay, Don's at his desk. Let's get that over here. But so I guess just screenshot that if you want. It's going over here for now. IWM, we're expecting 504. QQQ, 1151. We're going to remember that one. SPY, we got $8.30. Tesla, 1204. Meta, 1766. Again, this is what market makers have priced in, what they're ready for, what they have delta hedged. You need to be paying attention to these numbers, even if you don't trade options. Nvidia, this is awkward. Nvidia has earnings this week. They're expecting a $15 move. Who thinks that's a lie? Get out of here. Don't try to. That's like when you tell your kid, like, we'll see. You know it means no. Apple 565. Google 462. Same as last week. Ford 44 cents. Why did that? There we go. All right, Palantir. What's Palantir at? $1.55. Palantir, I think, is gearing up. Palantir better be one. Palantir should be on your watch list right now. I'm trying. I had to have a talk with my group about, please don't let me get you in too much Palantir. But I think we're going to see an announcement coming. It's going to be amazing. Or, well, something's going to be amazing. I will say the P&L is going to move for me at least. AMD, $9.14. So AMD and Intel have a little bit elevated expected move. Nvidia is normally $7. Right now, its expected move is $15. But who believes that? That's kind of why, if you're in my group, I talked about I think Nvidia is going to surprise one way or the other. I don't think $15 is going to be it. Going outside the expected move, options get considerably cheaper because they're usually the ones that expire worthless. Like they're usually the ones I'm selling to people, and like a casino, right? I'm the slot machine. Come get your little coin purse out and sit down and stay a while. But I just think $15 is an easy move for Nvidia to cover. I'm not here for it. I think they're lying. Now, it could just dud out and be a nothing week for Nvidia. They could just come out and say everything's in line, just like we talked about. And I bet we spike this thing up, down, all around, and ultimately nothing. It's just a theta gang kind of week. And as far as that goes, for the calls we have sold on Nvidia, that's going to pan out amazing. Which is why, like in the growth count, if you guys are following on Patreon and everything, you haven't seen me do anything with the Nvidia calls we have sold. We're just going to wait till after earnings. There should be another white line somewhere in this vicinity. Hang on. The expected moves, oftentimes, there it is. I found it. What a coincidence. The expected moves are in one of these zones. So market makers are prepared for Microsoft to send it to that zone or that zone. All right, Nvidia. Don't lie to me. No. That puts it at 144.55. Percentage-wise, it's not bad. Or 114. I kind of want to buy some 113, 112 puts, and I kind of want to buy some, I know it sounds crazy, 145 calls. Because if we send it and it goes 2 standard deviations is 160 and just shy of 100. Now, if Nvidia does drop below 100, you're going to see me talking a lot about that because I'm going to buy a lot of it. There's going to be a guy in my group that talks about how it's going to go to $79. Pay no attention to him. His name is Technician. Zero him out. I will have to fly to Florida or drive. Probably choke that guy. $15 to $150 pre-split. Yeah, a little more than normal. It just seems a little small though. I don't know. I still think it could. I think we could send it. So. Let's see. Luke says 106. I think if we hit that far, we're at least going to 103, 104 area. These are my zones right here. So watch the yellow boxes. I'm going to get rid of the blue for now. Earnings will likely send it to a yellow box. It might blast through one of these. Like, let's look at Target real quick because I happened to catch that. Right through a zone, right into that next one. So when it comes to earnings, when there's a current catalyst going on, don't worry about the yellow boxes. Don't worry about whatever pattern, shape, line anyone has drawn. If there's a current, just absolute send it catalyst, don't jump in front of those tracks. Just don't do it. It's just not going to pan out. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking on Nvidia. And when it comes to earnings, right, there's an announcement. It's going to go up or down. It's a binary event. That's just kind of how it all is. This particular one, and I don't do this at all, I kind of want to buy calls and puts. A good possibility it goes into earnings on Wednesday and closes at 140. If we were to absolutely send it before earnings, Wednesday, we close up here, then I will just be in puts. Now, if we jack around all week, so earnings is Wednesday after the bell. We jack around, it's green Monday, turnaround Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be absolutely nothing because only the gamblers are going to play this on Wednesday because they know what's happening. Ultimately, we jack around. I'm in calls and puts. If we absolutely trend into Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one direction, I'm taking the other direction. If we sell off into it, I'm buying calls. If we send it into it, I'm buying puts. It will be a risk and capital play, which means that play is going to zero or it's making me money. There's no stopping out. There's no getting cute with it. It is just that's how it's going to pan out. I make money or I lose it all. In every sense of the word, I'm just going to put those chips on the table, and that dealer's either stacking those chips or swiping them. And then you get kicked out of the casino. Just kidding. Let's finish up the expected moves real quick. But that will move tech. Amazon didn't really do anything. Apple, a little bit up. So not only will it move tech, that can influence the whole market. If Nvidia absolutely sends, if you think the market's read off some World War III news, wait till Nvidia just surprises everybody. It's going to save the world, because that's how that's going to pan out. Ford finally getting to move. I do think Ford's going to reject this level right here. Palantir, let's get cute with it a little bit. Palantir's just, so we talked about this last week. I said, I think Palantir's about to do something like this where it just consolidates, and we need it to. But the more I look at Palantir, the more I just want to go long calls. There's going to be a September announcement for the S&P, and I kind of think this is the time we see it. Nvidia, Palantir has checked the box to join the S&P back when it was it back here, $10? Right here is when it checked all the boxes. And there's been plenty of S&P announcements, and it's missed every time. But the way it's been grinding up almost seems systematic and controlled. It kind of seems like somebody knows what's going on, so they're getting their shares in. They don't want to buy it all at once and tip everyone off, because then it just floods in. So how you get the best possible price is use your algos to buy, and you do keep it systematic. So I don't know. If it does like it did last time, it'll break this zone and come all the way back down. If it does that before September, I'm buying. But right now, if you're not in Palantir when they do announce when or if they announce there's an S&P inclusion, if you're not in it before, you 100% will be chasing. That's the thing. If we get that news, we'll send this thing to 40 probably that day or the next day. What's the risk? No news, chop news, send it. We do have some news. We'll pull it up and look at it real quick. I don't think Scarlett's ever heard me say get cute with it. So I am live on TikTok as well. If you guys haven't heard that before, so get cute with it is just because I like to make more money than everyone else. So like, let's say Palantir, you're invested in Palantir, right? And I'll get cute with it because I think the red candles are coming, and I'm going to skip the red candles. You guys can do that. I'm not. So you sell some of it, it sells off, and then you buy back in. You sell 200 shares, you buy back in the 200 shares right here. So that's getting cute. I get to skip the red candles. You're either good at it or not, and if you're not good at it, it ends up costing you a lot of money because you think that's going to happen, and then it sends it, and then you end up buying higher. So there's always risk with it. But if you ever hear me say I'm getting cute with it, that's why. It's because ultimately I'm still bullish, and a lot of times it's a conflicting time frame. 4 hour daily, I'm bullish. That 15-minute hourly looks like we're about to get a pullback, so I'm going to avoid that pullback. I might play puts. I might just sell what I have and buy back in. Usually if I'm getting cute with it, let's say I own 1,000 shares, I'm probably going to sell 500 shares because there's been so many times I have been wrong and it did just continue. I'm like, that sucks, and you got to buy back in. Hang on, give him some time. What did Jeremy Bryan call it? Do you actually think Nvidia will have good earnings? Let's bring back Nvidia. So I talked about this. I don't know if already on this stream or another one, but this is why. If you watch some of my old videos, you heard me say this earnings would be green, this next earnings would be red. And to explain that, one, if that happens, I'm going to go back to all my other videos where I specifically said that was going to happen, montage the whole thing, play it, and the title's going to be, I told you so. That's what you get for not following me. It's a long title. I'm going to work on it. But anyway, the last 4 earnings, the year-over-year growth, the bar was set, again, 3 inches from the floor, okay? It wasn't a hard beat. This particular earnings, you're going to go up against that first real blowout. So now they're expected to do good. You can't just come out and say, hey, we still do chips. Like that. That's not good enough anymore. We want you to do a lot of chips. We want you to surprise every time. That's why I said if they do come out and say, if they do surprise to the upside, it's going to send it. But if they come out and they're in line, chops around, probably even sells off. This could be a good... I could probably sell you guys on a bearish position pretty easily on Nvidia. One, the options premium is up. And if they come out and they're in line, probably a red reaction. They come out and say, hey, it sucks, but we had to shut down for a little bit. We didn't tell you about it in the news. Power was out. We threw a pizza party, and the microchips just didn't print out that day. For whatever reason, they're expected to do 100, and they show up with 99 and a half. red reaction, probably a pretty big red reaction. So 2 of your 3 chances are a slight down or an actual red, which makes selling something like call spreads pretty appealing because you could sell a 145, 148. You could just keep it a couple bucks. Don't need to go crazy. You could sell a 145, 150 call spread, and all it needs to do is not go above 145. They even come out and say 100 out of 100. It's probably not going to send it any higher than the expected move. So honestly, selling call spreads might be the better play for the week. But that's I don't know. I just, with Nvidia, the cult following, the AI hype, I don't know if this is the one you want to play that, because if you do sell a call spread, you're gonna collect 100, right? You're gonna be risking 500. So ultimately, you'll collect 100 to risk 500. So net loss will be $400. In the numbers scheme, that trade pans out way more than it loses. This particular time, you have all the right makings of that just not happening, and then you end up just your $100 turned into a $400 loss. It wasn't worth it. I don't know if that's one you want to jack around with. I kind of thought that before all the other big 5 blew out earnings. I think they will beat again. Didn't all the other big chip makers beat earnings. Don't know why Nvidia would be any different. So, Steve, that is why I'm thinking I'm going to buy the out-of-the-money calls. Because we have seen the other ones just come out and say, like, I don't know why you guys keep looking at Powell. We're doing just fine. They make it seem like, well, we know news is just a distraction, but they're like in a different realm, different world. So that's why I was going into this before all that. I was thinking I'm going to short this. It'll be probably a pretty easy one. But given all of that, I'm going to have to take your side on this one, and that's why I'm still kind of bearish where I want to buy those out-of-the-money puts. But at the same time, I think it is worth, because if they come out and beat it, if it's going to cover that $15 in 15 seconds. But go out of this, because typically, if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, every time I trade options, it's usually at the money and a couple weeks out. I don't usually go out of the money. Out of the money are those Instagram plays for people that just don't know what options are actually for. Most of the time they do lose, which is why I sell out of the money contracts. My account is fully funded from other people that gamble, and I like it. It's consistent. But again, this particular one, out of the money contracts, they're going to be cheaper, so I'm not risking as much. And I just think if it surprises, it's probably not going to surprise a little. It's going to be a banger either way. And if this does win, Damani says it sends SPY into price discovery, which is not a term we've talked about because it's been a while. Price discovery, all-time highs, which means we're searching for Winnie the Pooh. We're searching for the bears. If you're in China, you have no idea who Winnie the Pooh is because someone says Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh, so they scrubbed the internet and got rid of Winnie the Pooh. Anyway, he's a fictional character. He is a bear. That's why we call him. He was a little cartoon. His best friend was, I think, Philip or Terrence or something like that. But anyway, it's a little boy that plays with dolls. Kind of like Toy Story, but not plastic dolls. Anyway, I say Winnie the Pooh because he's just a bear. And I said we'll be looking for the bears. We'll be looking for people to sell at the top. Looking at the news real quick, we have tomorrow durable goods. That's probably not. That's not anything. If you're in Forex, you'll probably want to keep an eye. That's not going to be a stock market mover. Tuesday and Wednesday, nothing Tuesday. Wednesday we have Nvidia earnings, so that might as well be on economic data. Thursday, jobless claims, GDP. Friday we have the letters PCE. So we got letters news. Timothy Robin. There we go. It was Tim. Little Tim. Sorry, I was close. Timothy, he goes by Terrence in college to sound more sophisticated. That's why I said that. As far as the S&P goes right now, I think it's red. I would be buying the dip, I think. I think tomorrow we get above this. I think we're going to be worried about this zone up here at the top. 130 is the number. Matt says 130 is the number. I think he's talking about SPY. SPY to 130. He's actually effectively predicting you should be wearing a lead vest right now. Or he's talking about Nvidia. Wait, Matt, what number are you talking about? Because 130 is 54 cents away. I think we can cover that. Christopher Robin. Is it Christopher or Timothy? Which one is it? Pooh Bear was written by a Canadian from Winnipeg. Well, unfortunately, they're not going to be getting any more revenue from China, which is why I have to call Xi Jinping Winnie the Pooh every time from now on. Sorry, guys. I don't want to spread misinformation. It was Christopher, not Timothy or Terrence. The machines turn on at 1:30 every time and drive it back down. It's very consistent. Are you talking about Nvidia? Right here at this zone? The machines. That's what I'm gonna start calling the algos. The machines. Anyway, we enter the matrix and they start turning this thing around. I do like that. I'm actually not even making fun. Let's do a couple more tickers before I have to jump into my Zoom call with my group. Transocean. What this is the Sahara Desert that identifies as. I'm just kidding. We're not going to go there. Transocean. Okay, engages in the provision of offshore contract drilling services for oil and gas. So it's not an ocean. It actually is in the desert. Oh, just kidding. In ultra deep water. Okay. Man, the fact that it broke that zone, came back up and testing it from underneath would not be a good sign for me. This is not something I would want to be long in. And I have no problem. I would much rather buy it at, let's say it gets above, hits that 520, pulls back. I'd rather buy it at 515 after that price action than buy it at 497. Even if I was going to buy 10 million shares, I would rather spend a little bit more above that zone than buy the next rejection right now. Skynet goes live August 24. Beginner strategy to learn. Subscribe to my channel. I'm not even kidding. If you want to save a lot, I say skip the stupid phase because that's what I did. Now, I actually got lucky due to market conditions, and I lucked into the strategy that I do right now. So now, looking back, I joined a bunch of other people's courses because I thought it was beginner's luck. And every time I would join someone else's course, I just started losing money, so I went back to kind of what I was doing. So I am a little biased towards myself, but I would say subscribe. Probably to my YouTube channel because you'll see the playlist there. Cava group. Operations of restaurants. Zoe's Kitchen. I haven't heard of any of these. Would be really cool if you were subscribed to me last time I broke this down and you just bought it at that when we tested that zone from the top, and now you're just coming back like, hey, I'm super rich. What do I do with all my money? Been a while since I've broken this down, and clearly we haven't needed to. Right now, I wouldn't be buying. I don't like buying at the peaks. Granted, it's worst case scenario. If you want to buy it right now, I would have to put my stop loss at 108.45. I have to give it plenty of wiggle room because when it screams up like that, you're gonna find a bear. There's gonna be some selling. It's gonna pull back. Pullbacks are normal, natural, and the last thing I would want to do is buy up here and put myself in a position to get anxious and sell off, and then all of a sudden I have to sell my shares at probably the next higher low. This is going to have a big pullback at some point. Yeah, and that's why I would rather, if we could just catch a leg down, looking at this chart, I'd be all about it. But let's just draw out this actually. When I draw out trend lines, I like drawing rays because I have 2 points of contact right here. There's my low points. The further we get away from that, like, man, things are going to be weird. Like if you're going to play this, if you're even looking at it, oh, look at this giant trend, well, there's your trend, and there's how far away you are. If you want to stack up a whole bunch of EMAs on there because a YouTuber told you to, when that thing looks stretched out like a stretched out slinky, you want to wait for it to kind of come back. That's your buy area over here. It's kind of like when, now not YouTubers when they talk about the VWAP, but actual institutions. Think about the VWAP. So it's volume weighted average price. If you go to your manager and say, hey, I bought at above everyone else's average price, you're going to get laughed at and fired. So you want to buy below everyone else's average price, which would be somewhere probably below that zone and above this blue line. All right. What is this? Just things. We just click buttons and talk about things. Occasionally I talk about aliens. It's been a while, but It could be a many things. But anyway, guys, shout out to everybody. If you're on TikTok, make sure you do follow me. We did just hit the 3K mark. Absolutely blowing away YouTube. YouTube, where are you at? What's funny is I have the same amount of followers on both YouTube and TikTok. And right now there's a challenge. Except for TikTok has 6,000 likes. Yeah, YouTube, where are you at? 19. A little bit of a discrepancy there, huh? So if there was going to be a challenge as to which one I go live on dominantly, I would say right now YouTube's got some work to do. Herd aliens had to follow. Upvote, it's free. I will always be on both, to be honest. Now TikTok, I gotta say, is kind of addicting as long as I don't get banned again. I can't go live anymore when I'm on Zoom sessions with my group, because if someone does say, "Hey, that's stupid" or something like that, then I get banned. TikTok is all twerking on camera. Well, I'm gonna work on my twerking skills, but that's when I get to 100,000 followers, and then I guess I would have to start twerking on camera. But it's a process. You gotta trust the process. At 100,000 followers, TikTok, I'll twerk. But not until then. Not a follower shy. I personally will get you banned if you stop YouTube. No, I'm not stopping YouTube. Kay says she'll step in for it. My admin could twerk. I'm gonna make her do it at 50K. All right, stepstones. First, my admins twerk at 50K. Yeah, think about that when you ask if you want to be my admin on TikTok next. At 50K, I need a video of you twerking or you get fired. Okay? And then at 100K, the boss. All right. But anyway, I do have to wrap it up here, ladies and gentlemen. So you have all the news, all the market makers where they have everything planned out. If there's going to be a surprise this week, it's going to be Nvidia, and it's going to be Wednesday after hours. So let's all just buckle up, because you're probably going for a ride. That will move the market, by the way. Anyway, YouTube, I will see you beautiful people probably tomorrow. Tuesday for sure, but tomorrow as well. I'm going to try to go live as much as I can. CrowdStrike has earnings as well. So we got tech week this week. Anyway, make sure you follow. I'll see you guys in the next one.